Welcome back to the Real Estate Success Podcast, the hit weekly show featuring inspirational stories to help real estate entrepreneurs do more deals while increasing their cash flow and their net worth. Welcome back, everybody. I am Jim Ingersoll, and I'm your host for the podcast. Today's show is amazing as we talk to a good friend of mine, Rich Lennon from Richmond, Virginia. Rich loved this. One of the quotes from today's show that you're going to love is, Rich characterizes 2017 as the year of cash generation. And we talk in detail about the best way to maximize that as a strategy with full-blown automation in your investing business. Today, you're going to learn exactly how Rich incorporates everything from CallRail to managing his rehabs automatically and enjoys the many, many benefits that full-blown automation with PODIO has allowed him to do. As he will tell you, he has learned that he's able to now work on his business and not always has to be in the middle of his own business. Let me tell you about our new sponsor real quick. Carolina Hard Money is the leading hard money and commercial bridge lender in the Carolinas. If you're looking for investor funding in those states, you should contact them today at carolinahardmoney.com. Even better is their opportunity to work with them as a passive investor. Bill Fairman and his sister, Wendy Sweet, are a great team over to Carolina Hard Money, and they have an opportunity for you today. So go to carolinahardmoney.com and click on the investor link today. I created this podcast to help motivate and inspire real estate investors to go out and take massive action and build your business and your life the right way. So I want to welcome you back to our show today. We've got an amazing show lined up for you. You're gonna learn so much about automation, CallRail. We're gonna talk a little bit about TLO and skip tracing, rehabbing, and scheduling your contractors. So just sit back and enjoy today's show and be ready to take some notes, because this is something that can dramatically change your business this year. And our special guest today is a very good friend of mine from the same city as me here in beautiful Richmond, Virginia. And I've had the pleasure of working with Rich Lennon for 3 or 4 years now, and I have been able to watch him quickly grow his successful investing business with a wide variety of investing strategies. He's a very fast learner and a very big action taker. That's why I love working with Rich. And he's enjoyed the many benefits of growing his business through automation. Rich Lennon, welcome to Real Estate Success. I'm so excited to have you on today. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jim. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so tell all of our success listeners a little bit about yourself. Like, you've had an amazing journey, and a common question I get about you, Rich, is how did you shortcut that path to success? Because in 3 or 4 years, you've really hit it big. You've done really, really well, and I'm super happy for you.
Wow, thanks. That's very flattering. We try really hard around here. We work really hard, but I appreciate it. Those are very kind words. I would say that first and foremost is putting yourself around a good mentor. Now, Jim, I know that you were my first one out there, and you really kind of bridged that gap to me getting going in my business. And I know I'm forever grateful on that. And it's about finding someone that's been there, listening, and then working really hard. And that'll probably accomplish most of your goals. I know it sounds simple, but I really do believe that.
Yeah, and think about how, and I know the people in your network, I mean, you've really done a good job surrounding yourself with great people, and it's something you continue to work on and invest in, right, is your network?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's been key to the growth is your network. Absolutely.
All right, so besides me, who are 2 or 3 other people that have really been valuable to you to help catapult you to the point you're at now?
Yeah, I think Walter Walford and Quincy Long have, I've gotten to know both of them over the last couple of years, and they've really both been really wonderful. And I think some of the old and treacherous guys have taught me a lot, like Keith Lanke, Mike Gunn, and learning marketing
Yeah.
from Casey Jackson. I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, there's just been a lot.
So I had Mike Gunn's son on the podcast right before this episode, Brantley,
Bradley, oh, excellent.
because I wanted to have a millennial on who was getting it. You know what I mean? So it was a great show with Brantley. It was really good. Well, what kind of interesting things are you working on this year with regards to building your business and automating and things like that?
Well, I would say that I spent a good deal of 2016 trying to automate my business, and I did that through PODIO. If you had Brantley on, Brantley's a real big PODIO fan as well. PODIO is really it's a web-based system that helps you automate every part of your business and in some ways your daily functions in life. And it's a repeatable function machine. It takes some time to get to know, but it's really allowed me to grow and work on my business instead of in it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about this morning when we got to hang out, was how things have shifted over the last several months, where you've got time to work on your business more than in it. And I think that's a great point to make. Do you think that's one of the keys to growth?
Yes. I think that you have to, not have a job. You have to have a business, and you have to have other people doing the tasks for you that you don't want to do. And it gives you an opportunity to go work on a bigger picture things where it can really open up whole new avenues for a business.
All right, so let's jump into PODIO, because you've really taken it to a whole new level with your automation. So it's common for investors to get out there and jump into PODIO a little bit, but a lot of people are nervous because they think it's a lot of work. Let's start here. What are some of the myths that aren't true about PODIO? What do you hear as far as like fear and people nervous about jumping into it?
I think people get the idea that it's so complicated that they can't understand it. And that's not true. It is complicated and robust, but so is your business. Mm-hmm. And you want something that can be complicated and robust. But that means that like learning your business takes some time. So does learning what's going to handle the process of the business. And so as long as you commit time to it, it's inherently simple and uncomplicated. But there's a learning curve to figure out how to get there. So everybody thinks they have to code to do PODIO. I promise you, I don't code anything. I just inexpensively, I hire someone else to go out and do it for me. Mm-hmm. And I have an idea, and then they help me implement it in PODIO.
So if one of our success listeners today is like, I've really got to do PODIO, Rich just told me it's not complicated. And any time you learn something new, you always tend to think it's complicated. When I first learned about self-directed IRAs, I felt they were complicated. But once you jump in and get going, they're not. And it's the same with PODIO, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been looking at, we've been looking at the market, and we've been looking at what everybody else is doing with PODIO, and we really come to realize that we do a lot of really creative things that other systems don't. So we're going to offer our system sometime in probably mid-April timeframe. Offer people our system, come in, train them on how to do it, and implement some really creative ideas on PODIO to be able to run your business, all the way from how to generate the lead all the way to collecting the rent check.
That is awesome. So I am sure there are a lot of people listening right now that would like to get that information. And I know you've also got a boot camp coming up for this, but if somebody wants that information, what's the best way for them to contact you?
I would contact me through my website, which is www.rvapropertysolutions.com, or you can call me on my cell phone, 804-601-0330.
Is that really your cell phone, or is that a Google Voice number? Or a
CallRail. I'm not going to comment on that one.
Yeah, okay, all right. I'm just kidding. It's all about the automation and privacy. I got you. It
is, and that's something that as you grow your business, will become important.
It is very important. So Rich, if somebody's wanting to jump into PODIO, where's the best place to get started?
Well, you can just go to PODIO and download it. It's free. if you get up to like the pro version of it, it's like a whopping $42 a month. So I would just go, I would download it, and I would go to YouTube, and I learned a lot of PODIO from YouTube. And I would ask the question, how do I use PODIO for real estate investing, and watch a video? And people will show you what they're doing. And if you watch enough videos and you take enough time, things will become fairly simple and straightforward. So PODIO is made to simplify your life. It's not made.
What is the first task somebody should take a look at automating that's easy to jumpstart in PODIO?
Well, for me, it was intaking my calls was where I started, and how I ended up with PODIO. I had leads that I'm sure you've been there, where you get a lead and you're driving down the road and you answered your phone. You had a good conversation, and then you wrote it on a scrap piece of paper, and you kind of lost the lead, or you scribbled a note somewhere. And I really needed a system that could capture everybody, and then also stay with them up to like a year later, just automatically, without me having to be involved in the process.
So, do you have it tied into CallRail then? Is that how you're doing it?
Yes. Yes. I think that's one of our strongest things that we do is, hey, someone could call me. I can know exactly where they're calling me from, what marketing piece, and I can create a year's worth of follow-up texts. Wow. Right? Push of a button, and I can text them for a year. I can call them with an automated message every 30 days. I can hold on to that lead and track it in ways that I've just never been able to do before.
Wow. So, and then you also segment out your marketing a bit so you can track where that call is coming from, whether it's a bandit sign or whether it's coming in from a direct mail piece or probate letter or whatever, right?
Right. I use CallRail phone numbers to track my marketing. I probably own, 40 phone numbers, for different parts of my business, and probably a good 20 of them are donated to marketing. And every marketing piece has its own phone number, so I know exactly when I pick up the phone, I know exactly what they're calling from, what piece of information was in front of them right before they called me. I can track it, I know where it was, and then that's a pretty powerful tool.
And then CallRail will actually answer it for you?
No, CallRail will route the call,
so
or it'll go through a recording for me, yes. But it can, I found that, let's say that you don't want to answer your own calls anymore, and you have a couple of bird dogs that work for you,
right,
and you're going to be out of town. You can route your lead sources to the bird dogs for a week, and then do a little round robin. Whoever picks up the phone first gets it. To get your marketing calls answered, that's a great way to do it, because I found too many of mine were going to voicemail.
Yeah, I know, I agree. One of the things that surprises sellers sometimes when I answer my call is I called 9 people and you're the 10th person, and you actually answered your phone.
It's so true. You're right on. I've had more than once, I've had someone tell me, wow, I just did the business with you because you answered the phone.
Yeah, it can be that easy to get a good lead, right?
Yeah, it really is.
All right, so it'll come in through CallRail. How does it then get into PODIO?
Well, this is a programming part. You have to program something called GlobiFlow to take it in. The technical part is they send an email to PODIO. PODIO can take apart the email and auto-populate some fields that we tell it to. So, the lead comes in on a certain phone number, and then CallRail puts an email together with all the information, like what lead source it was from, like the phone number, which ultimately tells me what lead source it is.
Yeah.
What they can send me a recording of it in the email, and then PODIO pulls it up, lets me know that the call came through there, and then starts the tracking of that lead from that phone number from that moment forward.
And you've built out apps that automate that, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you set up GlobiFlow, that set up the automation. It pulls from CallRail the email, and then now it's into PODIO, and PODIO will send that information to, say, a buyer or whoever you select.
Yeah, that's correct. So maybe once that information's up there, I can do maybe 20 different things with it.
Okay.
So I could say, okay, put this on a marketing campaign number 1, or marketing campaign number 2, or marketing campaign number 3. And number one could be, we have to send the mailings. Number two could be we should call them on the phone. Like they can be different strategies, right? And then I can either keep the lead myself or I can push it to one of my buyers, right? So I can assign a buyer to it. And then now that person is responsible for it running forward. And I can see how many leads each person is working and what status they're working them on, including myself.
Mm-hmm. So your buyer will get an alert that he's got a lead, and then you can watch to make sure he's following up on it.
Yes.
So so then your buyer goes out and he'll say meet with the seller. Does he update the status in PODIO, or how do you track that?
Yeah. Before you go out there and meet the person, you should have some data on the house.
Yep.
And so we automate the process of accumulating that data. And so now when the person goes in and it's going to, we've decided we're going to set up a meeting with them, we hit another button and now it auto populates for us like all the information, all the mortgage information, bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, comps. We don't, but I've seen some people do crime reports, like automate that. And it's like right in front of you right away. And so you can really analyze the deal really quick.
So do you use like GlobiFlow or something to tell PODIO, like this is the address, go to the online tax records, pull all this data out of these fields, populate it, then go to like 3 sites for comps. Say, e-appraisal or Zillow or whatever, pull the Z estimate, pull all this data from 3 to 5 places, put it all together and send it to me?
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty cool and pretty powerful, isn't it?
It is. It makes it more efficient to look at deals for sure.
So and then your buyer has all of the property information. They know how long the guy has owned it, the guy or girl have owned it. They know, whether they're absentee or owner-occupied, whether they live in-state, out-of-state. They know the square footage, the number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, and a few comps.
That's right.
Okay. And that's like a package that goes to your buyer. Then they go out and they meet the seller, and hopefully they close the deal because they have all the data, right?
Yeah. So we'll just take a look at that. So they come back, they go out to the house, they come back and they get in front of the computer again, and they basically debrief on what happened and what's the next strategy. So a lot of times you can't make a deal on the first swipe at it. Mm-hmm. I've learned that for a while I've just been throwing away a lot of deals. And so if you can't make a deal the first time, you really need to think about what kind of marketing touch campaign do you want to have moving forward. And so you can just kind of set that up and then you move on and that would be kind of your report. Hey, I judge the situation to be this. We choose marketing strategy number 3, whatever reason, and now it's back out. Or it's under contract. Now we create in a different folder. My admin gets something and tells her, okay, we need to get this over to the title company. We need to get this over to the lawyer. We need to request a private money note to be made. There's like another checklist that starts as soon as we know something's under contract. Mm-hmm. Now the admin has a whole bunch of things that they can do.
Okay, and then what's the next step? So
then at some point the original buyer kind of drops off and they hand it throughout the close to the admin who brings it through the close, make sure all the trustees are in the right place, and then some point at the end of that, our custodian or project manager comes in, takes over the job, and this is all like on a workflow in front of you, takes over the job for you, quotes it out, does the flip, and tracks the flip while you're flipping it.
Okay, so we've talked really in quite a bit of detail of what happens when a motivated seller calls you, how you track it all the way through PODIO and close the deal. And now you're saying you can also go to the next stage, which is the rehab?
Yeah, you can go to the rehab stage. And then you can track the same lead. You can track from what subs are scheduled to be on your jobs, on what date, what's the status. The project manager can upload pictures for me to see from my laptop where I can see, hey, look, this is the new HVAC system going in. And so I can get reports in real time like where the property is without having to go to the property.
And will PODIO, once you've locked in your contractors, will PODIO sort of alert them on schedule and stuff?
Yeah.
It's pretty
like,
cool.
Let's say you can program, this is really neat. You can, like, let's say, I don't know about you, Jim, but have you ever had a problem with a plumber?
Never. Not in the last 45 minutes.
I don't know what it is with plumbers, but I just cannot. They drive me crazy. Anyway, so let's say that we need to have them on a job because we try to schedule our guys out like 2 weeks out now. Like give them time to like really make sure they're on the schedule so they're not messing with us. And so we set up the appointment 2 weeks out, and then we push a button that automates the reminder for that plumber. And so we send out a series of texts. So we get them under the schedule 2 weeks out. We call them 1 week out. And then, or we text them just saying, hey, just want to double check and make sure that we're still on. And then we can see the reply that we get in PODIO. We can see when he replies. And then we automate like 3 days out. We text them again. Hey, just going to make sure you're going to be there. Then we automate texting them the night before. And then we automate texting the morning of.
Wow.
So like, and I do it all with the push of a button. Like I don't have to like remember to do it. And so we were talking today, we sat when Ghani was there, right?
Yeah.
He's been the recipient of this.
Yeah.
When he says, yeah, he's always texting me, you know, like, yeah. And like Ghani, of course, is a very good contractor, but not all of them have his level of responsibility.
And he thought all those texts were coming from your project manager, your superintendent, right?
I think a lot of them are because the superintendent gets involved, right?
Yeah.
So like once the first one's sent and you engage back, it's on the superintendent's phone. He sees the conversation as if he was doing it.
Yeah.
And then he gets involved and he answers, you know, like, and then they're having a conversation. So he is involved, but that first auto creating the event,
yeah,
it's automatically.
That's the cool thing. Rich, I think I want this. I do a ton of texting, way too much with my contractors, and of course I've got a project manager and he's the one doing it now, but it's a lot to keep up with a rehab, an active rehab. If you're gonna get through it fast and get it done right, it's a lot of management and a lot of moving parts, isn't it?
It is. And have you ever had a contractor that, even one that you've worked with, they'll say, oh, sure, I can do this for $1,500. And then you go give them the bill and it's $1,850.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, I never said $1,500. When you've got a system that tracks your texts and all your conversations, it saved me thousands of dollars. I can sweep back and say, whoa, wait, no, you said right here that this is what you were going to do and this is how much I was going to pay.
So I like to use contractor agreements also because it takes that away. So could PODIO auto-populate the contractor agreement pretty easily?
Yes. That's another thing you can do. If you're creating a document on a regular basis,
yeah,
the same type of document, for example, a sales agreement or an offer sheet, you know, you can automate that so you push a button and you generate the contract through GlobiFlow and you create it into a PDF and you send it back to PODIO.
And I think, so you could do that also. You and I both like to use land trusts for privacy and asset protection. You could also do your land trust agreement.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds amazing. So why don't you give your contact info again, because I know there's going to be people that want more information on how this works and how you can help jumpstart them.
Okay. Send me an email at rich, R-I-C-H, at rvapropertysolutions.com. I'm here in Richmond, Virginia. My telephone number is 804-601-0330.
Rich, tell me about the time where you were working on PODIO and you were giving it a try early on, and then all of a sudden the light bulb went off and you said, this is going to be a life-changing automation tool.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is a hard question.
I think when I saw deals that were previously falling off the table coming back, and I wasn't actively tracking it. Like I was tracking it through automation. I'd forgotten about it. And it came back because my follow-up was so much better. And Yeah, I would say that. The ability to really track a whole bunch of things that I'm not even aware that we're tracking and have them bear fruit.
So would you say that with this automation with Podio, then you're able to generate, instead of say 50 leads every week or two, that you could generate and manage hundreds of leads every couple weeks?
Yes.
And you sound so confident now, Rich. Have you always been that confident?
No, this business, it's going to be brutal. It's been a hard journey. I appreciate your advice as I've gone about it, because you know that I've changed directions many times, and I love it. It's the beauty of it.
It is.
And there's so many different ways to slice the pie. So I'm really appreciative of all your help.
All right, so Rich, but besides Podio, what are a few other web resources and apps you like a lot? You mentioned CallRail. That's one of them, right?
Yep. I use CallRail. I use Google Analytics. You got to know who's coming on your website.
Online, your incoming lead generation through website, RVA Property Solutions, right?
Yep. And boy, for like apps, I don't know. I use most of the websites I go to are deed book page websites. I'm just like, my local county websites are huge. I spend a lot of time there.
How about skip tracing?
I use TLO. I like TLO a lot.
Okay.
If you use it a lot, you need to make sure you're following the rules of service. They're strict and they're important, and they should be. You have people's information, and you need to make sure that you're following the rules. But TLO is good for finding that information, finding out about anybody.
How about list building? How do you like to build your lists?
Honestly, Jim, I still use the same techniques you taught me on ListSource from one of your very first videos. You can just drill down and find anything you want on ListSource, and the more you learn, the more you learn what to look for. But
there's a lot there.
There's a lot to look for. Too much for one person.
So we talked about Podio, CallRail, TLO, listsource.com is really powerful. I agree with you. Well, Rich, I really appreciate your spending this time with us. Again, if somebody's kind of on the fence whether they want to automate their business or not, I think the big fear is that it's hard, complicated, takes a lot of time, effort, resources, and money. But the payback sounds like it comes really, really fast.
I don't think it has to be expensive. I think that if you're the point where you need Podio, it's probably not very expensive. Bang for your buck. Whether you do something with me, you do something with someone else, you should be able to get going, and with minimal effort to get that started. It doesn't cost a lot of money.
Okay, and one last question. Given the market conditions we're in right now, what do you think a couple of best overall investing strategies might be for 2017 coming up?
2017 to me is the year of the cash, and I think the market is white hot. I think if it's not at its peak, it's close enough that I'm starting to really pay attention to it. So I'm making sure that my deals are as quick and efficient as possible, and I'm flipping for cash versus maybe holding properties. I'm not keeping rentals as much anymore.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think we've shared that. I'm flipping as much as I can for the same reasons. Whether we like it, love it, or hate it, it's a cash generator. And I think that's a great tip for anybody who's if you need to create income, the market is primed for it. It's very easy to do right now. Would that be a fair assessment from what you see, Rich?
I would. It is a renovated house on the market will sell for a great price in a very quick time. We see it over and over again, at least in our market. So
this is basically what you're saying is 2017 is the year of generating cash, and all of our listeners, if you need income, better jump in quick because you don't know how long it's going to last. But right now, like you said, Rich, it's white hot.
and there's still room for it. I don't mean to, I'm not suggesting be scared. I'm heavily invested and I'm pushing hard, and I'm just grabbing all the cash for when the crash comes. Right, it's nice to be cash heavy.
It is. Well, Rich, I really appreciate your spending this time with us today. And as always, it was great to see you this morning. And I really appreciate your spending a few minutes with our success listeners today talking about PODIO, because it is a powerful automation tool that all investors really need to jump into instead of waiting a year or two and wishing you had done it.
Thanks, Jim. I had a great time, and I'm happy to share what I got. And I might not share my PODIO with anybody in Richmond, but I might share it with you.
All right, I'm going to take you up on that. So thanks, Rich. See you later. That's it for this special episode of the Real Estate Success Podcast. Thanks again to all of our loyal success listeners tuning in today. It has been so great to spend this time with each of you today. My name is Jim Ingersoll, and I greatly appreciate all of our listeners. Thanks to all who leave comments, reviews, and those who share this content with your social media networks. We really greatly appreciate it. I've got a special free investing gift for you today waiting at bigmoneyinvestor.com/free gift. Pick that up and put it to use. And be sure to check out our sponsors over to Carolina Hard Money and connect with Bill and Wendy Sweet. Tell them you heard this on the Real Estate Success Podcast, and you can check out the amazing opportunities to invest passively.
Hi, I'm Bill Fairman with Carolina Capital Management and Carolina Hard Money. This is my sister and business partner, Wendy Sweet.
How much are you earning on your real estate investments? And how passive do you really want to be? Also, what does freedom look like for you and your family?
The answers to all those questions are at carolinahardmoney.com. Click on the Investor tab. carolinahardmoney.com, Investor tab.